Okay, I have a really funny story for you today. I'm gonna try. There are some funny things that happen from living on a farm, from having teenagers who, well, I'll just stop right there. Having teenagers, you know that a lot of funny stories come from it, and that's one thing that I'm gonna get better at. I'm working on sharing more stories and relating it back to the things that I talk about, podcast themes, and all of that. I'm a teacher by nature, and I'm also more logical. So I typically just get right at it. And a friend was like, "Tammy, you don't tell us your stories." So for you, I'm going to start telling some more stories, just the good ones. And today I've got a really funny one for you. It's one that I never saw coming. And well, I'm not going to give it away right now. Let's do this and let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. Can I tell you a story about my dog and my chickens? And just stick with me for a minute because it really, a podcast that I was thinking about and contemplating and praying about and saying, okay, what, and outlining, and something I was like, okay, I need a story to go with it. I need an example. And so I'm going to tell you a story about my chickens and my dog. And so I'm going to bury the lead a little bit and say, I was cleaning the kitchen yesterday and I found an egg in the middle of the game room floor, just sitting there. And we have a joke at our house that anytime something's broken, misplaced, not put away, that it's immediately, I don't know, not me. So I have two elves who live in my house that are, I don't know, and not me, and they wreak havoc. And so I saw this egg and I laughed because my kids are at camp. So I don't know, and not me, had to have done this. And we thought it was weird. Kyle and I were laughing about it. We're like, how did it get there? And I was like, well, it didn't fall because it would have broke. And also it's not it was in the game room. It's not in the kitchen. That's not typically a place that I leave eggs. And so we just kind of laughed about it and went on with our day. And another thing that so Arcanine, he is my Bernedoodle. He is probably 3.5, maybe 4 years old now. And he loves the chickens. Since they were babies, he loves all animals. I remember when he was a puppy, him getting so whimpering and when an animal wants you to follow them. And so Isaac was like, I think he wants something. So he followed Arcanine into this little hole, and there was a baby mole there. And so Isaac got so excited and got some gloves and picked up the mole and baby. Okay, probably not the greatest thing. But anyway, went to the neighbors to show her girls, her toddlers and school age, shot look, it's a baby mole. And Argonite was so proud of himself. But so he's got a heart for animals. So he's not aggressive. He's playful. He loves our chickens. And in fact, he's actually become a really big help. One is he has scared coyotes away. So he's protecting the chickens. And he also helps us wrangle them up and put them in the coop at night. We cannot automate it because of the coyotes, because of the raccoons are worse than the coyotes. And so we can't do a little automated door to where it goes up at dawn and down at sunset. We have to put them away. We can't let them out until after the sun's completely up. And then we have to put them away before the sun goes down. So, which the chickens don't love it, but hey, they love being alive, right? So another weird thing is we have 9 chickens. We have 4 babies who are not laying eggs yet. Well, hopefully next month they'll be laying eggs, like August-ish. And then we have 5 Rhode Island Reds who they are egg laying fools. Like these 5 are happy chickens. Like they free range. They are living the high life. They go wherever they want. They get into our garden and eat our tomatoes. We throw them our scraps and things, and they just love it. They have figured out a way to get into our compost pile. And so anyway, these chickens, these Reds are so happy, and every day they give us an egg. Clockwork. And the last couple of days we've been short on eggs. So we're like, oh, what's going on? What is happening here? And we're like, oh, man, what's going on? And Kyle was weed eating and he found some eggs and egg shells around. He's like, I think we have a predator. I think we have something that's getting in. And again, living on a little farm, like we don't have a lot of animals, but our neighbors have miniature cows and miniature horses and a donkey and some camels. So there's livestock all around us, which is another reason why I love here, because we get to go and pet the little miniature Highland cows, which are like perpetual calves. And if you call them by name, they come running. And so I'm giving you a lot of backstory, but just to know that this is like our normal, and we started finding eggs around and we're like, well, shoot, are these raccoons, are they getting it during the day? Like what's going on? And then we realized that Arcanine has been going into the coop and stealing the eggs. And why is this story? How am I going to relate it to a podcast? How am I going to relate it to how am I going to relate it to a message, right? How am I going to bring some inspiration and this is what I wanted to talk about, is because this whole idea that we have such great intentions. We get so excited about things that we have our habits, we have we put up boundaries, we know our values. And then all of a sudden, we get super excited about something, and then we can become kind of obsessed about it, or we can get too excited about this. And I think with Arcanine, he went from just loving the chickens to now he's like, oh, well, I love their eggs even more. And he's still not harsh. He loves the chickens, and he will, play with them. They chase him. It's a very symbiotic relationship there. But this is a trait that's always been within him, because he is part Bernese Mountain Dog. He is a farm dog. This is a personality trait that was always there, but was never cultivated. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the slow fade. And I keep, every time I hear the slow fade, I think of that Christian song, and I should have written down, I don't know who sings it. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the show notes. But it talks about how a lot of times we don't see how we're slipping back into old patterns. We don't see how our priorities are getting off balance. And Arcanine's job, his priority, is to protect the chickens. It's not to take the eggs from us. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. It's because how many times are there things within you, like we all have these personality traits that we don't really want to come to life, ones that we're not proud of. I get it's perfectionistic. It's not for perfection's sake, because I know there's no perfection, but it's my form of procrastination. It's my form of, it puts me into paralysis. And so because I want to do it right, I don't know how to do it. So I get in this, this need to do things a certain way. And one of the things, this is why the Enneagram, reason number a million why I love the Enneagram is it helps me to see when I start falling into these traps, into the core avoidances, when I start experiencing and feeling these tendencies in me that I don't particularly want to live, then I'm able to do something different. But it's that slow fade. It's that we start with great intentions and just loving the chickens, and then getting excited about, putting them away. And we get excited about our purpose. And one thing that I know about our purpose is that we have to make sacrifices to live our purpose, to make an impact, to create this purpose aligned business and to have a purpose aligned life. We have to make sacrifices. And initially we will start off and we will be so strong. We'll have motivation, we'll have willpower, we have all of these things in place, and life creeps in. Excitement creeps in. We get a little taste of like success over in this area. And so we like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then we start to put our guard down a little bit. We stop doing the habits, the daily habits, our morning routine. We stop going to the gym or doing the things that we know that propel us towards what we want. It's that slow fade that we have to watch out for. And this happens, like, I love when we start summer. I love it because during the year, we have to have a lot more structure. We have a lot more, we have a lot more habits. We have a lot more routines. We have a lot more things to do. And so during the summer, the first part of summer, it feels freeing. It feels relaxing. It feels like we can put down some of the things. The problem is I set down some of the things like that help me succeed. Have you done that? Have you put down and an example of this is my alarm goes off at 5:30. And I used to bounce up and I had to be at Pilates by 6. Now, because of circumstances, because of things that happen, I had to stop Pilates and I'm going to the gym. Well, I don't have anyone who checks me in, there's not a consequence if I'm 10 minutes late. And so when I had that responsibility, when I had that expectation, when I knew that if I was not on that reformer by 6:00, then I got a penalty. So I knew the instructors. So I would get a text being like, "Tammy, where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm on my way, red lights," or something, but there was accountability. I had these routines and I knew that if I went to Pilates and I said yes to myself in that moment, the chances of me saying yes to myself the rest of the day were a lot higher. I'd be more productive. I'd be more energetic. I'd feel more confident about my day. And by productive, I don't always mean work. It could be just present in relationships. But it would set my day up. Well, today my alarm went off at 5:30 and I snooze it. Actually, when it went off, I was in such deep sleep that it did not dawn on me that it was my alarm going off. I had to all of a sudden I was like, what is that noise? Oh, it is my alarm. So I had to get out of bed because it was charging and I snoozed it, but I grabbed it and I didn't get out of bed until it was almost 7:00. Now, I don't work starting at 7:00. However, in that hour and a half period, right? Yes, hour and a half period, I didn't go to the gym. I did have my cup of tea, but it was not, I didn't do my quiet time with it. I didn't do the things that help my day start strong. And it dawned on me today because I've been feeling rushed and I've been feeling out of balance and I've been feeling misaligned and I wondered how many of you feel that as well. All of these things are good, right? Summer break is good. Changing our routines up is good. But the slow fade of one thing, it's like one of those domino effects that you stop doing one thing and then they all start falling and all of a sudden you're not even feeling like yourself anymore. And as a business owner, as a purpose aligned business owner, when you have a God dream, we cannot afford to stay off kilter for long, to stay in this, to not do the things so that way we can be who we need to be. It's not really about even the things. It's about saying yes to yourself and saying yes to the commitment and being obedient and partnering with God instead of saying, you know what, I'm just going to sleep in here. I know you have something important for me to do, but I'm just going to, I'm going to take the liberty and this freedom and just sleep for a little longer. There are days where you can do that, but when it becomes your new normal, and then you start feeling like you're not accomplishing, the things that slip are my journaling time. The things that seem like they are unimportant, but are actually the most crucial thing, because if I don't have time to journal, then I don't have the inspiration for my podcasts. I don't have inspiration for trainings and for showing up. And if I don't have time to journal, it means that I'm not centered and I haven't focused on my why for the day. And so I was looking at my habits, and and thinking back of, okay, we're like just a couple of weeks, before school starts again. And I do love when school starts again. Granted, it's a little different now that they never leave and we homeschool. And this time it's going to be even more challenging because my son and daughter, though they're doing the same program, they're in two different communities, which means two different schedules, two different times off, like breaks, two different, like it's two different communities, so two different directors. And it's going to be an interesting year. And then I looked at like, okay, what habits, what personality traits are happening that I don't want them to happen, that's not productive. It doesn't help me feel like I am making a difference. And one of them is pushing snooze. So I recommitted to myself and to not push snooze on during the week. I do let myself on Saturday and Sunday. I don't get up until till 7. I will wake up and I will read, or I will grab my tea and drink it in bed, or something to that effect. Like I will have a slower morning, but that's the weekend and I get to do that because I've kept my word to myself through the week. And so I wanted to talk about like what works for me and these 5 steps that you can do to help this slow fade. And when you're starting to recognize that there's these personality traits, these tendencies, these habits that are forming, that you don't want them, you don't need them, that you can see that they are more of a protection and a safety than a success. So these 5 steps are ones that they're simple, they are quick. Like it doesn't take a lot to do it. So to show you that it's not about adding more to our to-do list. It's really about getting clear, getting focused and committing to ourselves. And so the first one is wake up with daily gratitude. Understand what are you thankful for? I am thankful that I have the choice. When I wake up at 5:30, I don't have to get ready for a commute. I get to work in my office, in my house, and I get to go to a coffee shop. There's sometimes that I get up, I'll get dressed and I'll go to the coffee shop because I could work in, a different environment, a different experience. But if you start the day with gratitude, I'm really grateful that I have 2 healthy kids, and that as much as they push me and as much as they are, confronting and they're teenagers, they're supposed to question. I want them to be critical thinkers. I want them to ask questions and get curious on the why and the who they need to be. But I'm grateful for that. So even when it's tough, because I was talking with a friend and we were talking about how being a parent is exhausting. When you have toddlers, it's physically exhausting. You are physically changing diapers, chasing kids, making food. Like you are physically doing the things. And having a teenager, you're emotionally exhausted because not only do you have to completely regulate your own emotions, is you have to ride the waves of theirs as well. So we just talked about it's just a different type of exhaustion, but either way, it's physical, it's an exertion on you. So start with that daily gratitude. The next is set your intention for the day. So I will pick an intention when I want to feel present. I want to feel productive, like depending on what I have going on, I will look at my phone quickly, look at my calendar, and then I will okay, what is my intention for today? Like, okay, it's heavy on kid assignments. I want to feel present for them. It's heavy on housework. I want to feel like I am motivated to get that done. Like what my intention is to feel good about having a clean house. And so when you set that intention for the day, and I encourage you to pick one intention. If it's productivity and you want to feel productive, or if you want to feel peaceful, or you want to feel joy, or you can feel something, but pick one intention of something you want to feel for the day. And with that, I need to look, because I have podcasts about why I set intentions, why you should as well, and what it does for you. But then number 3 is throughout the day, look for evidence that you're achieving it. Your brain, when you set an intention, it wants to prove you right. So if you look at your day and you're like, man, I'm going to be exhausted, you're setting the intention to be exhausted, whether you are intentional about it or not. That is the important part to see, is if you don't intentionally set an intention for the day, your brain will do it for you, and it won't be good. Like, it will be a safety. It will be an energy draining. It won't fulfill you, uplift you. It won't motivate you. It will help you feel like you're not doing enough. And so after you set your intention, then you get to look for evidence for that throughout the day. And I actually have a timer on my calendar that it's just a quick, every day at, I think it's 11:35. So it will go off, and it's just what evidence do I need to readjust? Am I meeting my intention? Am I showing up for myself? Because when you set your intentions, then you get to show up for yourself. And when you show up for yourself, you also show up for others. That's the crazy part. And that's why whole self-care is not selfish, because when you take care of yourself, you can take care of others in such a stronger way. Okay, so you have daily gratitude. Then you set your intention for the day, and then midday and start to look for evidence. That's number 3. So number 4 is write your small wins at the end of the day. Think about your small wins. A lot of times when you have been looking for evidence of your intention, your small wins can be directly related to that. There's on Sundays, I used to do once a month. I used to do a freezer meal day once a month. And so my intention for those days was to have fun in the kitchen and be able to feed make 10 to 15 meals that are ready to feed my family during the busy month. And then when I celebrate the wins, it's the fact that I got, got them done, that the kitchen's cleaned up, and that I feel good about having nutritious food for my kids, or that I got one of the kids to help me. And so I got to spend time with them. These small wins, it's okay if they are really small. You don't need to have, I organize 3 closets. No, if you organized a drawer, celebrate that. And that goes to number 5. So your small wins. And I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you every day for the next week to write down 3 wins at the end of the day. 3 areas that you won. Whether it's you drank your water, whether it's you got to the gym, whether you said yes to yourself and did something that you don't want to do. It doesn't matter what it is, but you need to write it down. And then the 5th step here is celebrate. We don't have to be at the mercy of the slow fade. But when we set our daily intentions, and when we limit it to just one, when we make it easy on ourselves, it gets us excited. We start to see the small wins. And then all of a sudden, if you write it down for a week, 7 times 3 is 21. That means at the end of the week, you're going to have 21 wins written down. And when you're not feeling motivated, you go back and look at that evidence of how you felt when you were winning, these things that you celebrated. I guarantee that you're going to be no, I want 3 more wins today. It becomes fuel for you. It becomes something so much fun to do. Habits, routines, boundaries are so important. And if you're anything like me, that you start off strong and you start off with these intentions, and that you're okay, I'm going to do it. I know that I'm going to get this goal that I want. I'm going to have the life that I want. I'm going to have this business. I'm going to create this business because I know God's calling me to it. And then over time, just the enemy creeps in and it's you know what? Just snooze. You don't need to You know what? You can skip your morning routine this one time. Don't worry. It won't affect everything. But friend, I wanted to tell you that it does. And so we need, like with this, let's simplify our routines and our habits, really identify the ones that really like keep that are important to you and don't let those go. And then and just to recap these 5 things that help to remove the slow fade, that helps you avoid the slow fade. And even if you get out of routine in one area or habit in another, if you do these 5 steps, it will motivate you to get back into it. And so it's daily gratitude. And I want to challenge you to write it down because something happens when we write it down. And the other thing is when we're feeling down, when we're feeling like there's not much to be grateful for, when we're going through some storms, some trials, when we are in arguments with our kids or something, you know what I'm talking about. When we're down, when we're depressed, when we're not connecting with our people, and we feel like we're just slaves to the to-do list. When you have that book of evidence of all of your small wins and your gratitude, you start to put things into perspective and you start to gain that confidence and that motivation and that joy. You start to see how it does help you. And so daily gratitude, set an intention for the day, just one. Kind of define it, give yourself, don't just say peace. It's like peace and, give yourself some definition, some context, then look for evidence. Intentionally throughout the day, look for evidence of if you want peace, and then look for evidence that you have it, that you've encouraged it, that you've added it to your home. Like whatever the peace, maybe it's lighting a candle, or maybe it's standing outside for a moment, taking a breath and just, holding your daughter's hand. Like I've realized that for her and I both, when we just sit and I just sit and hold her hand for a moment, it brings her peace. It grounds her and it helps her feel connected. And so I've been intentionally doing that every day. I'm granted she's at camp, so I'm not doing it this week. But tomorrow when she gets home, then I'm going to grab both of her hands and I'm just going to, while she's telling me about the stories, I'm just going to be there with her. And so we look for evidence, write down your small wins. And I do challenge you this week, every day for the next 7 days, write down 3 wins. It doesn't have to be big. That's what the word small. It doesn't have to be monumentous. It just needs to be a win. Did all of your children live for the day? Win. Because some days that's it is, we all had something in front of us to eat and we all made it to the end of the day. Win. So play with it. It's okay to enjoy that, to laugh and to have fun with it. And then the next thing is celebrate your wins. Celebrate. One of the things that I've started doing in the evenings is I love sparkling water. And so what I will do is that's kind of my celebration. I'll sit on the front porch if it's not too hot or not too buggy, and I'll add some lemon or orange or whatever I have to my sparkling water, and just to celebrate and even do gratitude at that moment as well. So take those. Don't fall into the slow fade. Don't slip. But if you do, because it's normal, notice it quicker. When you are writing down your small wins, you're going to see your slips faster. When you are focused on gratitude, you're going to see when the slow fade starts to happen faster. You're going to notice how you're feeling, how you're showing up, how you're saying yes to yourself. You're going to notice it faster. So this week, if you are listening to this podcast in the 22nd, I think this one's going to drop the 22nd of July. I have a 5-day challenge, a permission to pivot. And what we're talking about is how to, the first steps of living a purpose-aligned life and a purpose-aligned business is to give yourself permission slips to set down expectations, I won't give it all away. We're going to do 5 days together, 10 a.m. Central. Join the Facebook group, Divine Destiny, Living a Purpose-Aligned Life, for the link. There's also, if you're listening to this after the challenge is over, one is I'm going to do it again in August. It's going to be slightly different because it is live, so it changes. But there's also going to be the replays, so you'll be able to do that as well. So come join us in the Facebook group. Start to see what's possible for you when you start to intentionally live the purpose aligned life. And also, it's not such a scary thing to start creating a business. And I wanted I know many of you have this God dream in your heart. And so if it's there and you want to talk about it and you want to be in a community of women who all have said yes to this crazy dream, me included, this whole idea of what God had for me, I could not have seen, but I'm so thankful that I was willing to say yes to it. Doesn't mean it's not hard. Doesn't mean it's been an easy road. Doesn't mean I haven't fallen and I've fallen hard. But what it means is I get to get back up and I get encouragement from God and I see the impact that I'm making. And it's right there for you as well. So join the challenge. Come and hang out with us. We're going to do it on Zoom so that way we can interact with, like I said, the replay will be in the Facebook group and I can also send it out. But come and hang out with us and see what's possible when we are intentional and when we give ourselves permission to pivot. So with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you soon.